Born on the Yongchui River in the Lesser Khingan Mountains, D1 was randomly selected as a monitoring sample at the reserve. Now it's 3 years old and mature enough to return to its birthplace for reproduction. Though spring has come, it is still very cold in the Lesser Khingan Mountains. The ice and snow show no sign of melting, and the forest valley is still covered in a thick white blanket. Until early April, the warmth of the sun quietly wakes the southern Lesser Khingan Mountains. Forests recover gradually. After half a year, snow and ice begin to melt, and soon streams form and run downstream along the riverbed. Birds start their south-north migration to find a suitable place to breed. After a long journey, D1 and his friends have returned to the Yongchui River in the Lesser Khingan Mountains. Chinese merganser ducks are known as giant pandas among birds because of their rarity, and there are more than 200 of them in the Yongchui River basin. they have plumes on their heads that look like the decorations on Qing Dynasty officials' heads. It was named Chinese merganser when it was discovered by an Englishman in China in 1864. It seems impossible to know the origin of the population. Chinese mergansers are always living here from generation to generation. Icy flowers are one of the attractive scenery along the Yangtze River. River fish is the main food of the Chinese mergansers. At the moment, under the river surface, which is not completely melted, there is still a solid layer of ice, beneath which most fish cleverly hide. Though D1 and its friends are starving, now it is hard to catch fish. For sustenance, they have no choice but to capture caddisflies and wood frogs. In mid-April, the Yangtze River has melted completely, along with more cold water fish. The Chinese mergansers have extraordinary diving skills and can dive for several minutes at a stretch. Each Chinese merganser can eat nearly a kilogram of food a day, quickly replenishing the energy its body needs. mature Chinese mergansers begin to choose a mate, and the female ducks are active in courtship. However, the male duck is extremely repulsed by the female's attention and often refuses this form of courtship. They often choose a mate by force. Three male ducks at the same time take a fancy to this female duck D1. A fierce fight is inevitable. The fight between the drakes is so fierce that they fight from the water to the air and will not stop until one wins. However, there are still some single female ducks who continue to show their affection to D1's husband. Can D1's husband resist such a temptation? Thankfully, D1's husband withstands the test. Most Chinese mergansers stick to the principle of monogamy, and once they mate, they stay together for life. By the time the Chinese merganser is 3 years old, it becomes mature enough for reproduction. The immature drake has distinctive features. The plumage on this young male duck's head has not yet turned dark blue. The most prominent gene inherited by the species is the fierce and aggressive nature, which optimizes the population and has been passed on through thousands of years until now. The enchanting morning light shines through the mist over the Yongchui River, and the dazzling light adds romance to the cozy moment of the loving couple. They tell each other their hearts and are intoxicated with happiness. The Chinese merganser couple begins to select a breeding nest and determines their territory. Yet, they can obtain it only through a fierce fight. During this time, the drakes are extremely territorial, and their territory extends about 2 kilometers long on the river surface. The male ducks who have established their territory chase off as many uninvited guests as possible, but the mandarin ducks and mallards can share the water. In contrast to the dazzling male mandarin duck, the female mandarin duck's feathers are unusually somewhat lackluster. Like the Chinese merganser, mandarin ducks nest and breed in tree holes as close to the river as possible. In late April, D1 defines her territory and sets up her nest in an old elm tree near the river. At this time, a pair of mandarin ducks also like the hole, deliberately trying to take D1's nest. D1 sticks to the tree hole and doesn't give the mandarin duck a chance. D1 successfully laid her first egg at the end of April. And continues to lay 1 egg a day until the time came for her to hatch. D1 produced 15 eggs. The forest frogs croak tirelessly from early morning until late at night. It takes about a month for new life to be born, during which D1 leaves the nest twice a day to forage in the river. To prevent accidents, D1 will cover all the eggs carefully before leaving. Today, D1 just left the nest, and a pair of mandarin ducks fly over. Obviously, this pair of mandarin ducks haven't found a suitable tree hole for hatching. The male mandarin duck stands guard, and the female mandarin duck goes into it. The female mandarin duck lies an egg in D1's nest and left. When the hatching day arrives, the nest is full of eggs, a dozen or so. The extra egg was laid by mandarin ducks when D1 was out foraging. When the last snow falls in the mountains and valleys, D1 starts hatching for about a month. The drakes are completely relaxed. They are free of fighting and threats. A harmonious and peaceful atmosphere enshrouds the whole Yangtze River. Today is the day for the Chinese merganser male ducks living on the Yangtze River to go far away. It seems that they choose to live in order to leave enough food for the mother ducks and the children who have not yet met.